Good evening, everyone. I'm back. Next week, please keep in mind the lecture will move to 8:30. 8:30 throughout the winter. 8:30 to 10, and then I have another lecture, so everything will be half an hour earlier. Now the time is going down, the sunset becoming earlier, so there's no reason to start at 9. So we can start at 8:30. 2 weeks ago, the last lecture that we made here, we spoke about matching, and that was, Baruch Hashem, one of the biggest success in many years, that so many people listened to it, and I didn't finish. If you remember, we made a long lecture, an hour and a half, and I only finished half of it. Since I see so much interest, even with married people, because married people are facing these questions every day. Even secular people. Even a secular person, sometimes he's asked about someone, he's afraid to say good, bad, he doesn't know himself, doesn't know, and religious people as well. They don't know the laws. And actually even a matchmaker contacted me that I answer many questions that she's facing every day, except one. So she had one more question to ask, but all of her questions that she didn't know what to do, finally in one lecture she got all her answers. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we will continue. But I will tell you a story. Let's start with a good joke. But a joke that I don't know if it happened in reality or not. I read it in one of the books, but it's very interesting. You know, the Gemara said there's few things a person does, God forbid, can cause his children to die. That's not the joke. The joke is coming soon. So everybody asks, why a little innocent kid will die from the sin of his parents? Why if a father made a sin, the boy will die? So the answer is, the Torah says, Ish bechet'o yumat. Every person is responsible for his own sins. If he has to die, he dies because of what he did, not his parents. So how does it looks like a contradiction? One way to explain it is, if a person has to come and die young, Hashem sent this soul to a foolish father that makes vows and don't keep his words. And since that father deserves a punishment, the worst punishment in afterlife, there's much bigger punishments. But in this life, if somebody asks you, what's the biggest punishment a person can receive? You may say lose all his millions, you may say get sicknesses, get needles, get diabetes, get AIDS, who knows what. What's the biggest punishment here? To bury his children. Nothing is worse than this. There's no pain greater than bury, God forbid, not lo aleinu, God forbid, even not to our enemies, to bury their own children. There's nothing breaking the heart more than this. And in Israel you have thousands of people that they bury their kids, soldiers, 18, 19, and for 20, 30 years, every day they go sit by the cemetery next to the graves from morning to night, and they can't leave the grave. From morning to night for 20, 30 years, since Yom Kippur War, since the 6-Day War, since Shlom HaGalil War. This is 20, 30 years already, every day. They get there 9 o'clock, they have their chair there, they sit there all day. Mamash, hundreds of people like this all over the city, they can't go over it. Many people became crazy. This is what the Gemara said, the story about Rabbi Yochanan. He buried 10 of his sons and never became crazy. The Gemara is wondering, how can it be? You bury 10 of your children. And when he lost his mind, when his Chevruta died, when the one he was learning Torah with Rish Lakish passed away, he lost his mind. So the rabbis made a prayer that he will die, passed away from the world, because they saw how much he suffers without learning Torah. He didn't have who to learn with. But the Gemara wants to praise him, that 10 of his children died, it did not make him crazy. But once he couldn't learn Torah, he didn't have a peace of mind anymore. He couldn't live. Also the Nickelsberg Rebbe, the Klosenberg Rebbe, not Nickelsberg, the Klosenberg Rebbe in Europe, they killed 10 of his sons. Fun of him, 10 of his sons. Hannah and the 7 sons of her, she buried 7 sons. We have incidents like this. People who run, to lose one, it's a horrible nightmare. To lose 10, 7, there's no words to describe. So this is the worst thing that can happen. So if a person lost his children, The children didn't die really because of the father. Because the father made vows, he was the one who had to bury this kid. That's one reason. There could be other reason. But it's not only the kids, it's also the wives. A wife has to be careful who she married. If it's a person who promises and don't keep his promises, or he promised donations and don't pay, or he buy aliyot in a shul and don't pay on time, or have all kinds of things that he does and never keeps his words, her life is in danger. So you may ask, why she has to suffer? Because she has a foolish husband who makes vows and don't keep it? She has to die? Let him die. Why she should die? Same reason. Same reason. Somebody has to die. Hashem set him up. Set her up with a person that would make her die. Why? Because she has to die. Same thing a mamzer. An illegitimate boy from a married woman who cheated on her husband. Why he has to suffer? He cannot marry 90% of the women in the world. The Jewish women, almost every woman is forbidden to him, or can only marry his own kind or convert. Why? The answer is because in his previous life he was a big sinner. So now when he needs to come back in reincarnation, Hashem chooses a married woman that she's not, doesn't have moral, and she goes with another man, which is one of the worst things in the Torah. Perhaps is worse than murder, and women don't know it. For a woman to cheat, there's no forgiveness. There's no way to make repentance on it. She can make repentance as far as the punishment, but there's no way to correct the wedding. The marriage cannot be restored. Even if the husband wants to forgive her, it is not allowed. It's not in his hand. The marriage is annulled. So we have thousands of cases like this in Israel and the rest of the world of women who have no idea what marriage is, and they cheat and they do bad things. And so if a woman, something has to happen to her because she got this now. So now if a mamzer, an illegitimate boy was born to her, he comes and says to the rabbis, why you don't want to marry me with this Rachel? They say, because you're a mamzer, you're an illegitimate boy. He said, but why do I have to suffer for my mother's sin? That was before I came to the world. You're punishing me for what my mother did? Kill her. Why are you killing me? That's what he's going to claim. So what's the answer? What do you think? It's coincidence that you became the child of this woman? Why do you think you became the child of this prostitute? It's not a coincidence. You were a big sinner in your previous life, and Hashem gave you a chance to come here to correct, and He made you in isolation. Wherever you go, you are limited in your marriage. But an illegitimate boy, he can become a very big rabbi. He can be the chief rabbi of the world. He can be an illegitimate boy, and he comes before a Kohen. If a Kohen comes to the shul, and this mamzer is a big Talmid Chacham, you have to give him an aliyah to the Torah before the Kohen. Imagine a Kohen, his father is a big rabbi, and he's Moshe Kohen. His father is the chief rabbi. His name is Kohen. He's very respected, learned in yeshivot all his life. And say, Kohen! So he wants to get up. So the rabbi, I'm very sorry, there's this mamzer here. And he knows the whole Torah, he's very big Talmid Chacham. They have to give him an aliyah first. There's no discrimination. Whatever you achieved, it's yours for eternity. Nobody can put it down. You're born illegitimate, that's from your previous sins. There's nothing you can do. You have to correct it. You have to take the suffering. You achieve a level of Torah knowledge, that's it. You're on the top of the pyramid. But that's like, by the way, that's really not the topic. I want to get to the story. Well, I tell you, I'm going to start with a joke. So a man, he doesn't like his woman. She's very nasty to him, never cook. He wants tea, she puts salt. She wants hot food, she makes cold. Most of the time she doesn't make. Let's order all the time. 9 o'clock, he's looking for a meal, she's in a mall. So he already got tired of her. So he wants to get rid of her. But the problem is, when he got married, in order for him to marry her, he had to write a lot of money in a ketubah. And he's a very, very stingy person. Very stingy. He doesn't want to give her the money. So he comes to the rabbi, he says, Rabbi, give me advice. How do I get rid of her in the cheapest way? So the rabbi said, okay, I got your point. You want to vanish her from the world. So I have a solution for you. You want her to perish, to move on to the next life? Okay, I have a solution. What's the solution? Make a vow that you're going to build to us a big building, a synagogue, to our community, $2 million big nice building, and you're very stingy, so you'll never build any synagogue to us. So since 2 days will pass, 2 months will pass, you won't build a synagogue. The Gemara says, if a husband makes the vows, who dies? Children you don't have, who dies? The wife will die. So it's a guarantee. In 2 months, she disappeared. So the stingy men say, really, like this, Rabbi? I say, 1, 2, 3, guarantee. Say, very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So the rabbi said to him, but I have one more advice for you. So what is the advice? He said, since you're getting rid of her in 2 months, at least get rid of her and leave some good taste in her mouth. All the marriage term of the marriage, she suffer from you. Make sure now she leaves the world happy. Start buy her perfumes, bring her flowers for Shabbat, take her to a restaurant once or twice a week. Show her that, that she will die. When she dies, she'll remember, oh, my marriage at least became good before I died. You don't want her to be makpid on you in the afterlife, be angry at you, she'll be upset, she speak against you in the court of heaven. You don't want this problem. So, Rabbi, it makes sense, 100%, I agree with you. Let her go with a good taste in her mouth. So now, he comes home, he brings her perfume, honey, Shabbat, roses, he went to Costco, he looked for the cheapest things, he comes. So anyway, she started to see, we've been married for so many years, never once he bought me any gift, this one. So she said, you know what, it's not fair, I'm cursing him, and I'm nasty, I don't cook. Let me make him a special meal. All of a sudden, she made a meal, she bought some cookbook, she started to learn. So all of a sudden, the marriage started to become better. He does for her, she does for him. They never tried this approach before. So after, he says, another week for her to leave, he runs to the rabbi, Rabbi, hey, wait, can we cancel the deal? I'm finally happy. The rabbi said, I'm very sorry, that's it. A vow is a vow. You made a vow. Rabbi, I don't want her to die. There's only one way to keep it, to keep her alive. You have to build us a shul. So that's how the community finally got a synagogue. That's called in Hebrew, "Betachbulot ta'aseh lecha milchama." In a war, you have to be clever. You have to be sneaky. So the community got a synagogue because he didn't want to lose his wife, finally. The moral of the story is that even you have the hardest wife or the worst husband with some sweet words and some good acting, and you be generous and nice and force yourself to do some things for her, in the end, she's going to change. May take a month, may take 3 months. In the end, the person that receive good, eventually is embarrassed. And they surrender, that's it. They see that, okay, again and again and again, they say, okay, how long I will be nasty? It's time to change the attitude. And this is how things change for good. Okay, so now, if you remember last week, we arrived to page 200. Doesn't tell you a lot. Today we will finish it, Bezrat Hashem. A person that knows about an evil man is about to get married. Ish ra ubli'al, a very nasty, arrogant, evil person. And this person was offered to a girl that doesn't know about his real personality. You know, in a matchmaking, in a date, everyone is an angel. Everyone. Saddam Hussein was also an angel when he met his first girlfriend. You know, he comes, he opened her the Mercedes, he brought her nice flowers. Arafat, when he married whatever her name is, was also playing a nice man. So, in a shidduchim, in the first 3 dates, it's all a show. Later, when people feel comfortable with each other, the truth begins to come out. But some people are good actors. They can even keep the act 3 months. It's very difficult. You have to have a good smell to sense what's real and what's acting. So one of the things is to check if the person has temper, is to repeat few things too many times to see if they lose their patience, they're going crazy. How many times I have to repeat? Then you know right away, oh, already in the 3rd date he's ready to kill me. Imagine after 20 years we married, what's going to happen? All right, so the question is, this person was offered to a girl that doesn't know about it. Are we obligated to go and warn him? Or if he asks, we'll go. In general, it's very bad. We have to warn the girl, listen, you're going to marry a guy like this. This week I got an email from a matchmaker, and she offered a guy to a girl, and she thought he's perfect, the girl is perfect, so they already got together. And then somebody came to her and brought to her attention that the angel that she thought is an angel is actually Malach HaMavet, the angel of death. She didn't know that. She thought he's an angel. So now she's saying, already in touch. Sometimes people can get in love right away. 2 or 3 dates, 2, 3, 4 hours each date, 9, 10 hours together, they're already attached. Depending on the nature of a person. Some people it takes longer, some people less. So the question now, since there's a chance they won't listen to her, she comes now to the guest, she has to put her reputation down. She has to say, I made a mistake, I offered you a guy that is not what I thought. People make mistakes, well, no one is an angel. So she asked what's better to do. To go to the girl and say, the guy I set you up with is really not what I thought, or to hope to Hashem, to read Tehillim every day that the shidduch will work out and maybe after he gets married he's going to become a mensch, a good person, or just that's it, the damage is done and there's nothing she can do. What do you think she has to do?
Second.
The answer is, she has to tell her, the information that I gave you about the guy, is incorrect. I didn't have the right information. I ask you please to check his personality, his traits, very, very carefully. There's all kinds of rumors. That's it. Doesn't have to go to specific things. Because since they're already dating, most likely they won't break the shidduch. So to protect herself, as long as I made a mistake, I didn't know all the details, now some more information came to me, better that you ruin your reputation than ruin someone's life. Because remember, if they get married and things doesn't work later, you are guilty in every argument, every violence, every 911, every arrest, everything that happens to this couple, it's 100% your fault. If you gave the wrong report on a person for shidduch, or if you hid information that you were obligated to tell. If there was lashon hara that you had to say, and you did not say, then it's going to be the biggest mistake, because later they come and they hold you guilty. You come to Shammai and say, because of you I suffered 30 years. It's a lot of problems. And now sometimes it's a chain reaction, because the children get affected. If the children see a husband and wife that abuse each other verbally, sometimes it's worse than physically. Because verbally people don't think it's very bad, so all day he cares, he screams and he disrespects and all kinds of things. And the kids grow up in this environment and they become arrogant and their children become like that and they behave to their wives like this. It's a chain reaction. It's all because of you. It's all, you could have prevented it by telling, you know, I mean, someone asked me about a person that I know has a problem with obsession, is obsessive. It's a mental disease. Obsession to something, it's some kind of a mental sickness. We all have some obsessions to certain things. Some of us are aware that it's like an addiction, some are not. But to be an obsessive person is also one of the biggest risks in marriage. Because if a person is obsessive about something, he can drive his spouse crazy with his behaving. Every little thing, every comment he makes, the person cannot take it anymore. And that creates all the problem. So, you know, how can you hide such a thing? They ask you about this person. He has a lot of great things about him, but he has this, he's obsessive. What does it mean obsessive? If he calls you and you don't pick up the phone, he will call you 30 times in one day. That's not a normal person. We're not talking life and death here. For ordinary questions. 30 times a day we'll call. 6, 7 times in a minute. One thing after the other. It doesn't think maybe you're in a meeting, the phone is keep ringing, it's disturbing you. And then another 20 minutes, another 4 or 5 times, and half an hour later, another 6, 7 times, like this all day. You become his servant. You know, you cannot focus, you cannot do anything. Why? He wants to ask you if you know a girl named such and such. That's it. Not we're talking he needs, chas v'shalom, a transplant of a liver, if not he'll die tomorrow. For that, everyone would call 20 times a minute. We're talking ordinary things. Now, a person like this can be a husband. 1 hour his marriage will be over. Unless if he's going to get a treatment. Now you know something like this and you let the girl marry him, you're the biggest criminal. How? It's lo ta'amod al dam recha. The blood of your brother is spilling and you're not blocking the hole? What's going on here? You let him die? You let him drown? It's a big problem. So we got to be very careful. Like I always say, sometimes it's a very big sin to speak Lashon Hara, sometimes it's the biggest mitzvah you can do. If you do it leto'elet, to do something effective, to save someone's life, to save the future, you have to understand, sometimes breaking the shidduch for a guy or a girl is the biggest favors to them, not only to the other person. If they'll find out you're the one who caused the date to break, they'll hate you for the rest of their life. But sometimes they really owe you their life. Because if they get married and get divorced 2-3 years, then they have 1 or 2 or 3 kids and have to pay child support and agony and pain and fighting in courts for the children and all kinds of things that comes out of it. You're actually saving them from that. They don't look at what you did for them. They look at, oh, I was supposed to be married and because of this guy I'm single. Who told you it's bad you're single? Better you die single than you get married and you destroyed 5 souls with you, not only yourself. You and another wife and another 4 children. So if a person is not capable of being married, he should stay single. You don't force people to get married, even if it's your children. Chas v'shalom, we should never have this test. It's a very hard test. Your kids are in your house, and you cannot get them married, so you begin to think, how do I lie? How do I cheat? How do I trick the rabbis or the matchmaking that they'll get them a shidduch? If I say the truth, nobody will marry them. Right? There are sicknesses sometimes. Some of the sicknesses pass through generation. I had a question like this a few days ago. So the couple went out, guy is great, everything is fine, tzaddik, everything is fine. One, he has some kind of a sickness. And the sickness, when I heard the name, it's a name that you have to Google and check a lot about it. What's this? The illnesses? What's the chain reaction of it? What can it cause? How you treat it? Can it be cured? There's a lot of things to consider. So first of all, there was a sickness that doesn't have a cure. It's a sickness that affects the life of the couple every day. It's not one thing that comes once a year, or some rash that he gets 2 weeks out of the year. So 2 weeks out of the year, you stay away from him. It's something that happens a few times a day. Also, it passed to the children. Also, it would create a big disaster in a family because a part of the family doesn't want it because of that problem. Just because he's a righteous man doesn't justify to take him with all the illnesses and sicknesses and all kinds of things. Our responsibility is to say the truth to the person. If he wants to go against the odds or against what people told him and still get married, we're not obligated to come and stop him. It's his life. But to hide information from him, that's already a serious problem. Now, there is, last thing we spoke about last week is people that have internet. You know, a few months ago there was a big noise about the internet. How can you have internet if you're religious? How can you have internet? The answer is you can only have internet if you have filters. If you have filters, or you have such a way to control yourself, never to go to bed the website, which is very rare to find people that have a power of will like this. So if you have internet, you don't make sins, then you're allowed to have it. Most people who have it make a lot of sins because of it. So if you only do good with that, if you search, if you get Torah answers, if you listen to lectures, if you read articles, if you print things from the internet and you teach and all kinds of things, then of course it's a good thing. Why not? Problem is that it does much more bad than what it does good for most people. So the answer is, listen what they say here. This is what the advice of the biggest rabbis in the world. Someone who just have open internet, automatically you have to assume that he's a wicked person. Even if in the end you'll find out that he never made a sin in his internet, and you ruin a shidduch for him, which means you come to heaven, and now the truth comes out, because when we die, all the truth comes out. All the gossip, all the things you did behind people's back, all the lies you say to your boss. Oh, boss, I have 150 fever, I cannot move. I'm sick, my throat, this, I have a virus, I cannot, whatever. Now it's working. 50 years from now, you face your boss. Oh, virus, huh? You went out with your friends to the beach, virus. Now the truth comes out. That's the world of the truth over there. But now imagine somebody call you and say, how is this guy Itzik? What's the story with him? So he has this good about him, and he has this bad about him. You aim for the truth. And you say he has internet, so based on that, he probably does all the sins in the world. And the girl left him alone. And now after 30 years you died, and now you have to face it in your court. Now, would you get a punishment for that or a reward for that? And he comes and see what you said about him. And he comes and says, oh, you're the reason I die single. Everyone who asks you about me, you say he's a wicked one because I have internet. Come, I prove to you I never made one sin in the internet, only good things. I publish Torah, I send email, I invite people to lectures. I did only good things. And not once I did a sin in the internet. And you find out that he was right. You're still 100% clean. You get what I said or no? You destroyed his life, and you are a 100% tzaddik in this manner, righteous. You did not violate any rule. Why? Because 99.9% of the people who has it make a sin, it's a certainty, it's chazakah already. Just because 1 out of 1,000 is able to have internet and never to make a sin, but 999 doesn't mean that particular one didn't make a sin, so it's my fault. 999 make a sin, it's already probable cause to say that this is it. Unless if they have a filter. They have kosher filters that blocks them from bad website, that's a different story. Okay, now, in general, someone who doesn't really need it, better not to start with that. Someone who needs it for work, for learning, what can you do? If you can live without it, just you need it for the news and things, there are kosher sources of news. You don't need that. Better you pay 50 cents a day and buy a kosher newspaper and read the news, even though it's a waste of time to read the news 500 times a month. But if you need it, you're obsessive about the news, pay $1 a day. Better than to start bringing computers in, because one thing leads to another. Same thing with Facebook. Even though it's the best tool to make Jews religious in the world of all time, since Moshe Rabbeinu, the best way, I'm telling you from experience, because you can reach hundreds of thousands of people a week, will take you 1,000 years to reach them physically. Like we make a lecture, X amount of people come, you drive, you put time, you paid money, you work physically, you know, traffic, it exhausts you, you come home late, it's hard for you to get up in the morning. In the end, 5 Jews got affected that night. Then you walk 5 minutes on Facebook, you already reach 400,000 people. And it's a game of number. There are Jews who you can make them religious exactly in 5 minutes. All you have to do is just one time talk to them 5 minutes about the Torah, there's God, the Torah is divine, and right away they wake up and now they do the search from on their own, they continue. You already saved them. Some Jews you need 500 years to make them put tefillin one time. There's different kinds of people. But there are so many floating people, all you have to do is pick them up. You don't have to swim, you just pick them up. They're ready to go out already. Just talk to me, do something. Like this guy just came now to pick up mezuzot. One Persian kid, Yehuda, spoke to him about tefillin. He didn't know about tefillin. An American Jew didn't know about tefillin. I don't know, he didn't have bar mitzvah, nothing. So, wow, it's mitzvah. What does it mean? This, that. Calls me up. You have tefillin for him? Say yes. Well, I meet you in 2 days, 3 days, the next day, I don't know. I came, I met him. What do you think? I came for the tefillin. It's important tefillin. It's one mitzvah. I want to save his soul, not only tefillin. I gave him 7 CDs. What has he been telling me now? I don't want to even say the name of this radio host that he was listening to. The garbage of all garbage, if you know who I mean. So he said, I used to listen to him all day for hours every morning. And now I replaced him with your lectures. All day it's in my car. He said, I don't even know where to start with my questions to you. Because he doesn't have any background. Doesn't know. But he's already asking me, am I allowed to go to a conservative synagogue for Shabbat? He begins to understand. And I explained to him the difference now, Orthodox, conservative. And he told me where he lives. And I told him, we'll find you a kosher Orthodox shul. Doesn't matter, Sfaradi, Ashkenazi, Hasidic, doesn't matter, as long as it's Orthodox. And he start talking about going to shul for Shabbat. So now he puts mezuzot. He puts tefillin every day. We just gave him, with the courtesy of Rabbi Bloom, we gave him a siddur. And now he's going to go tomorrow to buy Chumash English. He wants to read an hour a day Chumash. and he listens to Torah all day, and he eats now kosher. Think about it. We have people like these, Jews in America, maybe 1 million. All you have to do is to talk to them 5 minutes, that's all. And you make them Shomer Shabbat within a month. How do we get to them? Facebook, internet. There's no other way. You never get them. You never convince them to come to a rabbi that speaks in some synagogue. They laugh at you. Synagogue? Me? I never saw what it is. But through that, through the CDs or the Facebook, just yesterday, the one who runs my Facebook page, I know it, but he's keep reminding me. So I don't understand why you're wasting your energy on lectures. I don't understand. Or when you're working not wisely, you say. All you have to do is get a screen, green screen in your house, camera, all day, talk to the camera, make 10 minutes films, subject, soulmates, 10 minutes, Shabbat, 10 minutes, this, 10, make a lot of short clips, and constantly we post it on the Facebook. What you see in 5 years, you see in 1 minute over there. It's true, but also there's one difference. Sometimes live affect people more than watching it on a screen. But this is just to show you. So, but if you're already religious, what do you need a Facebook for? If you're such a tzaddik that you want to save other Jews, and that's the only reason you do it, it's a big mitzvah. As long as you're not going to bad pages, like everything else. You want to go to this street or to that. This street is a yeshiva, this street is I don't want to tell you what. So a person chooses where he goes. Same thing in the internet. It's like walking through different aisles. If you're such a tzaddik that you need it, not because you're curious to know what's happening in the world, just because you want to make people religious, very good. I'm very happy for you that you're finally doing something productive. You're affecting hundreds of Jews by the hour. But if you're not like that, better not to start with that. Okay, now, a person that is single, that they're offering him a girl that is few years older than him. What do you think? He's 23, she's 27.
Good.
He's 25, she's 33. Good or not good?
Yes.
The answer is, it's no problem whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. Some of the biggest rabbis in the history, their wives were older than them. So there's no problem whatsoever. Sometimes it's even better. She's more mature. She's the support of the entire house. But the question is not if it's allowed or not. It's allowed. Too many years of a difference, more than 10 years of a difference, and you have to go to a big rabbi to check the situation. A few years of a difference is no problem. Now, one more thing. A person is allowed to change his age to get a shidduch. Let's say he's already 40. 40 sounds already one leg in Olam Haba already. So he wants to say 38 or 39. 39 is like $9.99 in America. It's working. $9.99. People think 9. They don't think 10. So so he's 39 already 15 years. 39. I have a friend like this. When he got to 49, he's stuck on that age already for many years. Something in his speedometer broke. I guess the 5 digits doesn't work. How old are you? What do you care? I'm 49. He wants to get married. Question is, are you allowed or not allowed?
Yes.
Yes. Not allowed. Yes.
Yes.
Allowed to change a little bit from his real age. 2 or 3 years, not more.
It depends.
It's 50 and he's Sam 30. Come on, exaggerate. But 2 to 3 years, the girl won't make a big deal out of it. Later, when she finds out the truth, most likely she won't break the marriage because of that. Some rabbis say, yes, with one comment. What's the comment? That just before you get engaged, you must say the truth. So after she see, I say, listen, I just sold you this car. The engine works, the transmission, everything is fine. There's only one problem. What? The car doesn't have a computer. Nothing is everything is fine. The car doesn't have nothing works. You know the joke with the shatchan. He came to someone, he said to him, listen, I have a great girl for you. Her father is a multi-millionaire. You will never have to work in your life. All your life you'll be able to learn Torah. So no, Rabbi, so what are you waiting for? He said, there's only one problem. So what's the problem? He says, she walks, she limps. A little bit. If you walk a little bit fast, nobody see. I said, that's the only problem, Rabbi? I said, that's it. And you, right away, you move in, you have your own house, you're going to have a car, you learn in yeshiva, he'll support you, your children, everything will be fine. Don't have to worry, you'll be a big rabbi one day. Okay, Rabbi, if that's the only problem, fine. Then he comes, he finds out that he's very tall, but she's very short. There's a big difference between them. It doesn't look so great, you know. He said, Rabbi, you didn't tell me she's so short. You don't see I'm very tall. Big deal. Who cares? Wow. It's not the end of the world. What kind of religious Jew you are? You care about the height? Okay, Rabbi, you're right. Why should I make a big deal out of it? Then he comes closer to her. He said, Rabbi, you didn't tell me she has one eye goes to the left, one eye goes to the right. I don't know if she's looking at me or at you. I'm confused. The Rabbi said, why are you whispering? You can speak loud. She also doesn't hear. So then, he got married after all. There's $1 million waiting for him. You know, he convinced himself it's not the end of the world. He comes to the house. The next morning, he gets up 9 o'clock. He comes with a newspaper, put his leg on the table. So she comes out of the room. She said, what are you doing here? You didn't go to work? He said, work? Your father is a millionaire. You want me to go drive a bus? Come on. She said, what are you talking about? My father is working in the garbage, in the sanitation department. So he got it from all over. Someone who marry a girl for her money will never have blessing in the marriage and in his children. Remember it. Or if he make condition, I'll marry your daughter only if you give me this and this and that, and he force them, then won't have blessing in the money. If they're offering him the money without pushing them, that's a different story. But if he makes condition, he'll never see any blessing in his marriage, so it doesn't really pay. Now, let's see some more of the rules that applies to it. A person that became religious, and is already in the age that he can get married, but he never went to yeshiva. He became Shomer Shabbat, he listened to lectures, so he knows the foundation. He got feeling, he eats kosher, he puts yarmulke, tzitzit, he comes to shul 3 times a day, but doesn't really know halachot. He never learned in yeshiva, like a Jew supposed to go to yeshiva for about 15, 16 years until he gets married, he learns Torah. He comes fully loaded. This guy, he learned 3-4 months, lecture here, lecture there, a little bit here, a little bit there, that's it. So the question is, should he get married and then learn, add extra hours to his learning, or he should make a time out before he goes on dates, come to yeshiva for 1 year or 6 months at least, learn from morning to night, or everything he needs to know for a Jew to know in his life, and then get married? What do you think is better? The answer is, he should go to yeshiva, take a time out from his life, take off from work. Doesn't matter if they fire him, don't worry, Hashem has enough jobs. When he wants you to have a job, he'll find you a job. Comes to yeshiva, learn serious, then go on dates. What happens if it's a person that is religious from birth? And he say, I don't want to get married now. I'm 20. His father say, come on, we have already few offers for you. He say, no, father, I want to learn another 3 years. When I'll be 23, I'll get married. What's the rush? I have to be married when I'm 20? What's the answer? Good or bad? The answer, you have to get him married. Why? The evil inclination works when it comes to a single guy, about women, about what's happening in the world, probably will make sins. One of the benefits of being married is the wife saves you from sins. That's it. And because of that, it's Baal Tshuva doesn't have any learning. That's like an emergency. It needs to have the foundation, but you already have learning. What's the point of waiting? So you marry him right away. Now, someone who used to be secular and now became religious, does he have to tell the girl that he's dating that he's not religious from birth? If he looks religious from birth, let's say he's 10 years Baal Tshuva. He's 25 now. When he was 15, he became religious with his family. Now he went on a date. She didn't even suspect that he was not religious until 15. She thinks he's religious from birth. Does he have to tell her that, or only if she asks?
Only if she asks. You don't have to.
He has to tell her that I am a Baal Tshuva. He has to tell her.
Why?
But he doesn't have to tell her what sins he used to do. If she goes into the next level, okay, so tell me how many girlfriends you had. I don't think it's important to talk about it. Let's put it that way. I wasn't Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai before I became religious. I have to know how to answer. I also wasn't the Rambam. You know?
Why are you supposed to tell them that you're about Shuvah?
Tell you why. Because in this world, the phony world that we live in, there are a lot of religious people that look at Baalei Tshuva as a second-class citizen. Should be the other way around, according to the Gemara. But they think, I tell you the good and the bad about it. They think they are better than you, because they never was Mechalel Shabbat all their life, and you were, and now you're not. They ate kosher all their life. You were not, now you are. But so they think they're better than you. The truth is you're better than them. Why? Because you tasted from the poison, from all these desires, and you dropped it. They were not in the desire to know how to live it. What's better? Someone who doesn't try drugs, or someone who was deeply in drugs and was able to come out of there with the power of will? Everyone will tell you better never to try drugs. Of course, every normal person knows once you're in it, you may be dead. Your life is over. But someone who came out of it and became clean for the rest of his life deserves admiration. Same thing about Tshuva. He came from the dirt and became who you are. You deserve a lot of credit. The problem is, this is where the but comes. There's always a but. What's the problem? Now, many of the Baalei Tshuva are not stable. They're good for 1 year and then they go down for a few months. And then they go up again and they go down. And they go up and they go down. Just like the drug addicts. They're out of it and then they try again. And they're out of it and they try again. And they're out of the alcohol for 6 months and then they try again. There's a problem with this Baalei Tshuva. Now he's learning Torah in yeshiva. He's very inspired. He has a good rabbi. So the rabbi keeps him online. Now tomorrow he got married. His wife became pregnant. She's not as attractive as she was. She go all day and complain. And now he has a record. Next thing he meets his ex-girlfriend. The next thing he goes and make a scene. That's why they're afraid of Baalei Tshuva. So if they're right or wrong, that's an answer for Hashem to answer. Most of the time they're right, in my opinion. You have to know which Baal Tshuva to take. Not everyone who puts Yamaka and Tzitzit is Baal Tshuva. Some people is mamash 100% still Chilonim. Even if they stop driving on Shabbat. Their mentality stay Chilonim. They continue to listen to all the singers, to all the music. They continue to do everything they used to do. They just made some adjustment. That's it. Baruch Hashem, they put tefillin 2 minutes a day. Still wear their jeans with the holes. They still take the yarmulke from the pocket every time they have to make Birkat Hamazon. They go to places they're not supposed to. They go to all kinds of things like this. Swimming pools, mixed parties, mixed weddings, listen to women singer. Don't keep kosher 100%, only if it's available, not always. They do a lot of bad things. They still have girlfriends, friends, Facebook things, chats, things that people may continue to make sins as usual. Read secular newspapers, listening to television, watching television, renting movies, So he makes some changes, but somebody like this to marry him with your daughter and claim that he's a tzaddik, you gotta be very careful. That's why you have to say, I became Baal Tshuva X amount of years ago. That's it. And she wants to know details, you don't have to. Don't want me, don't take me. Don't have to reveal. If you want to tell, if you feel it's make her more comfortable knowing how bad you used to be, to decide if she wants to take the risk or not, it's up to you. But you don't have an obligation. Also, if they ask us about him, you know him since before he became religious. Can you tell us who he used to be? Not allowed to tell them. Tell them he wasn't Rav Ovadia Yosef. Whatever. Amevin Yavin. Now, Baruch Hashem is a tzaddik. For how many years? 3 years. Baruch Hashem, he learns every day. He gets up in the morning, he's learning, he's watching his eyes. It's 100%. Then, some questions you're allowed to avoid in a tricky way. You don't want to lie. You're allowed to avoid it in a tricky way. But to say lies, only in very rare occasions is allowed. Only in very rare occasions. But you have to do everything you can to prevent lying. If you can avoid the question, say, I'm not sure, I have to check, I'll get back to you, knowing he's going to forget in 2 hours what he asked. There's things like this you can do. Then, if you're not sure what you have to say, what you don't have to say, you're not allowed to talk. You're allowed to say, listen, I'm not an educated Jew. I don't know all the laws when it comes to shidduchim. So I don't know, please don't ask me anything. Not good, not bad. Because I don't know even the good, what I'm allowed to say, what not. Maybe from the good you're going to get something bad out of it. Depends. Like I give you an example. When someone asks you, how is this guy Moshe? Psh, his house, the table always full of food. All the time, shish kebab, this, vodka, l'chaim, whiskey, gives the best food. Every day, a lot of great food. Some people look at that as a compliment. Some people say, poor pig. All days, fressing, food, shish kebab, 5 o'clock in the morning, prepare the grill. Depends who you ask. So for one person, say, oh, generous guy, very good. A real Bukharian table, 500 kinds of food. Very good, because the people measure you by how generous you are in your wedding. How many floors of food you have. If you have 7 floors, you're a good Bukharian. If you have only 2, we don't want this kind. It's nonsense, very stupid. But that's the mentality. They judge how generous you are by how much food you throw to the garbage. What else? What do you expect in this world? Everything is the opposite. Instead of coming and saying, you know what, we like you, because you're not like everyone. You have your mind. You can think finally. Not, well, we have to do it. If we're not going to do it, nobody will marry our children. Right? They say we're stingy. All kinds of things like this that you hear. So the answer is, some things depend who you tell it to. Some people, if you tell, how is this guy learns Torah all day? It happened to me. One time I told someone, I have for your daughter a great guy. And this guy I spoke to was a multi-millionaire, minimum $50 million, and even sometimes maybe more than 100 million. A few houses, a lot of businesses, owns a lot of businesses, very wealthy guy. He himself is a Baal Tshuva. His daughter was born religious, very righteous girl. And what would you expect a guy like this to want for his daughter? She's a very religious girl. She loves Torah, she goes to lecture, she's praying, she's full of devotion. You would think a girl with such a rich father, she would want the biggest Talmid Chacham that learn 19 hours a day. They have everything they need. Or what do they need him to go to work? So I found him a guy, an angel. And then through the conversation, I see they avoiding the date, the parents. Why? They want businessmen like them. Someone who would make money. Wealthy people usually want wealthy people. Stupid as it may be. So they didn't want someone who learns. No, so you see, I thought I'm giving them, I know for sure, I gave them a very, very precious diamond. But they wanted someone who goes to Manhattan and walks in the street and look at the girls while he's making $1,000 a day. That's what they wanted. Gave them an angel, and they wanted a businessman. You understand? Not that chas v'shalom, a businessman is not a good Jew. He can be a righteous Jew. But you compare him to someone who learns 16, 12, 13 hours every day Torah and is so close to Hashem. What are you worried? That you're going to have to take some of your 50 million and maybe give them $1 million? What did you make the money for? I don't understand his parents. I just saw a very interesting thing. Rav Steinman is one of the biggest rabbis in the world. Bli Ayin Hara is 99 years old. So he is now the head of the Ashkenazi world. After Rav Eliashiv passed away, he is the biggest authority in the Ashkenazi world. So there's a book with things that he said over the last 30, 40 years of his life. And they collected everything to words of wisdom. So this is how the book starts. He says from his life experience how dangerous it is for the parents to leave a will after they died, that a lawyer will divide their money between their children. How dangerous it is. Why it's dangerous? The opposite. The lawyer will make order, no? Because now one will challenge the other. If one got more than the other, or he got this apartment and he got a different apartment with a different view, next thing, appealing, taking lawyer. The father was crazy when he wrote it. So Rav Steinman brought a story of a billionaire religious Jew that owned hotels and had a lot of money. It was a huge Baal Tzedakah. He was giving a lot of donations in his life. Before he died, he wrote a will. He was an old man. He wrote a will how to give the money. How? All my money goes to yeshivot. He didn't leave his children nothing. Just their homes that he bought them in their life, cars, whatever money he gave them in their life, they're okay, they can live. But he took all the hundreds of millions that he had, and he gave all of it to yeshivot. And he put one of the biggest rabbis in the world to be the head of the fund, to decide how to distribute the money to yeshivot according to their needs, to kosher yeshivot, because he wanted to protect his soul in the afterlife. The yeshivot, the Torah, will give him a lot of benefits. What is children going to give him? They'll go to Acapulco for Pesach, to sit on the beach half naked with his money, or drink another 5 bottles of whiskey every week. What exactly is children going to do for him, besides buying themselves jewelry and cars and fighting for money? So he knew he was clever. But what happened? These menuvalim, the children, the wicked children that he had, took a lawyer and appealed it in a secular court by the goyim. And they say, what kind of father doesn't leave his children all his millions? He gives it to strangers, to schools. The judges here in America, they don't understand yeshiva. Gives it to schools. He leaves all the children. They brainwashed him. It wasn't normal. They challenged the decision, the will, and the goy, the judge, reversed the will, canceled it, took all the money from that rabbi and gave it to them, and they all did all the sins in the world with that money. This Rav Steinman testified. And he was so he say, from here you learn, give the money while you're still alive. Don't leave it to a lawyer to give it. First, the lawyer can steal it. And many of lawyers stole all the money. Sometimes you put money by the lawyers in escrow. Don't take it for granted that it will be there when the deal will be closed. You know how many lawyers are here? They took all the escrow and disappeared from the country. There's no guarantee. Definitely not after you die. How do you know it's reliable? Trusting because he has a yarmulke? How do you know? Maybe he won't tell them all the assets. Maybe he found a way to steal some of the money. Better you give it in your life, but not too early. Why? If you're 60 and you say, no, let me enjoy, see my grandkids wearing nice clothes, going to the best schools, let me pay the tuition. I want to see in my last 10 years of my life how my children and grandchildren enjoy my money. So one guy, he decided to be a wise guy. He didn't listen to the rabbis that said not too early. Leave it to later. So he decided to give all his money to his 3 sons. He gave them everything. Once they got all the money, they forgot about their father. They don't invite him for Shabbat anymore. He stayed lonely in his apartment. They don't even come to visit him. So you see, 1 year, mamash, they forgot about him because they know what is the old man has to offer. He gave us everything already. So he comes to the rabbi to cry, what a mistake I made. I gave all my life savings to my children and they don't even invite me, holiday, nothing. Nobody comes to visit. I'm lonely. The rabbi said, don't worry. I have a solution for you. Call the oldest son. Tell them, listen, I want you to come with me tomorrow at 9 o'clock to the locksmith, and I want to buy a safe, a very sophisticated safe. So the son will ask you, Father, why do you want a safe? So you tell him that you have a lot of precious stones that you bought many years ago, that's the major assets of yours. It's worth a lot of money, millions of dollars. That one you never gave anyone. You only gave the cash and some things, the real estate. But the real things is these rubies and diamonds and color stones. That one you have to put in a safe, and only they will have to open it after you die. That's all you have to do. So I called up that son, told him, I want you to come take me to the locksmith tomorrow 9 o'clock with your car. I cannot carry the safe. He said, Father, what do you need a safe for? So he told him the story. Right away, he appeared like a great soldier. At 9 o'clock, he was there already. I brought you muffins. All of a sudden, you remember he has a father. So they went and they bought the safe. After that day, they were fighting every Shabbat. Who will invite him? Fighting. No, you come to me. No, the wife's fighting. Became President of the United States. Very popular guy. 7 years he lived. Then when he died, they were standing in line in front of the safe, going like this. They opened the safe. They saw a piece of paper like this and some stones from the street, 5, 6 stones. They opened up the paper. This is what lousy kids like you deserve. Eat the mud. He had 7 good years. 7 bad years, 7 good years. So don't be...
Wow.
Don't trust too much, even your own children. Anyway, so let's move on. So it says like this. A person that is dating a girl has to check her brothers if they're decent people or not. The question is, what happens if she's a righteous girl and her brothers are gangsters? You know, Vinny, Tony, Richie, and Rachel. Tzadika. You know, she has to suffer because she has 3 brother gangsters. You know how many families like this? The kids went off the way and the girls were good. So the answer is, it's enough that she has 1 good brother, it's good also. Not all of them has to be good. 1 good brother, it's good enough. All the brothers are bad, something is not right here. Why? It's showing you what may happen to your children in the future. However, if they offer you a girl that learns in seminary, Haredi, very ultra-Orthodox, like Bet Yaakov and the good ones, and she has great personality, great traits, you know, and she has only 1 brother that keeps Torah. The rest is Chiloni, Mechalel Shabbat, do everything bad. But 1 good one, you can go to that shidduch. You can go to that shidduch. If a person went out with a girl and he likes her, but his parents do not agree, they don't approve the shidduch, and they give him all kinds of excuses. She's too religious, you deserve something better, you handsome guy, she's not pretty enough, her family is from a bad village, primitive, in Russia, they're not like us, we came from Moscow, they came from the village, you know, and all kinds of things like this. The boy doesn't have to listen to his parents at all. He can ignore them completely, but do it wisely. Don't create a fight. Ignore them in a nice way. Try to prevent fight in a family. If you can't, you can't. But your life is your life. If they come and say the girl is not modest, people testify they saw her half naked here and there, then the Torah say not to marry her. You need your parents to tell you this, and of course you have to listen to them. If she disrespects your parents, she makes fun of them, you heard that she say bad things about them behind your back, that's a different story. She's not a good girl. You don't want a wife like this. It's going to create a lot of problems. But if they have, we don't like her nationality, we don't like her accent, her eyes are not blue, all kinds of stupid things that I hear every hour, don't have to listen to them at all. She's not rich enough. Her parents won't give 50% of the money of the wedding. All kinds of things like this. You know, your parents can give, big deal for your father, he give an extra $10,000, $20,000, not the end of the world. Throw it on him, no problem. If the girl is good. If she's not good, even $1 million her parents would bring, don't marry her. Then, a girl who married who dating a good guy, she likes him, but her parents do not want her to marry him for the same reasons that I mentioned before. Also do not have to listen. Not only the boy, the girl and the boy don't have to. She has to go to a kosher rabbi and say, this is what my parents say, this is the guy. Can you help me out? He speaks to the guy a few times, he checks around. She relies on this rabbi to tell her yes or no. If he told her yes, she doesn't need. I know there's one important rabbi, which I hold very highly of, that someone told me in his name that he told him, the parents have to give you the blessing. Mechila mikvodo, from that rabbi, kosher rabbi, tzaddik, but he's 100% wrong. You don't need. All Gdolei Israel, with no exception, the Stipler and all the other, Chacham Ben Zion and others, and this comes with the name of the Gdolei Israel, they say clearly, and there are much bigger rabbis than this particular one, that you don't have to get the blessing of your parents. If the girl is good, she's righteous, she's modest, she's keeping the mitzvot, she eats kosher, she has good personality, you love her, she loves you, she respects you, she's going to be a good mother, she knows how to cook, she knows how to be a housewife, what reason not to marry her? Because your father doesn't think she's pretty enough? Or maybe she has extra pounds on her? What's the reason not to marry her? This is your life. You love her, marry her. Many parents destroy the dating of their kids and decree them to die single. Many of them die single in the end. They stay single for 30, 40 years and that's it. Why? They thought that they have to listen to their parents, and in the end that's what happened. Now, Rav Ovadia Yosef, everybody knows who he is. He wrote in his famous book, Yabi HaOmer, chapter 8, the 8th book, in Yoreh De'ah Siman Chaf Bet. This is the source. He brings from a very famous legendary book. It's called Sefer Hasidim. Siman Taf Resh Samech, 660. Maaseh be'echad shemetu banav bechayav. A person, his children died in his life. Amar letalmidav bishat mitato. Moments before he died, he gathered his students around him, and he said to them, I know I was innocent and righteous all my life. But one sin I did do, one sin I made. I had a sister, a young sister. Her husband died. She stayed a widow. She was a widow. She used to tell me, you're my older brother. They didn't have parents. Find me a shidduch. It's not like today, she go on a bar and meet Tony over there. I was in a righteous day, Sefer Hasidim, hundreds of years ago. If there's no father, the oldest brother is the father. Find me a soulmate. Find me a match. She was embarrassed to pressure me too much. She asked me every time she could. And I could find her a guy. She was a pretty woman. She's a widow. She had money from her husband that died. He left her a lot of money. But I did not marry her because I wanted to inherit her money one day. I knew if I'm going to set her up with her husband, he's going to take all the millions. Whatever it was, million, thousands, doesn't matter. Because of that, I know God punished me, and all my children died, and I left with no children, no nothing. They all died in my life. This is what Rav Ovadia Yosef writes about this. It says, from here we learn that a person, instead of marry his daughter by giving her money and wealth and jewelry to impress the other side, right? If a person like this, if he can marry her in a kosher way and he doesn't do it, gadol avono minso. If a person can find a good shidduch for his daughter and he's not doing everything he can to do it, or he prevent her from marrying someone that is good for her for different reasons, is expected a very big punishment from Hashem, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because sorrow, suffering of the body, there's no way to repent on it. Let me explain. That was in Hebrew. I'm trying to translate to English, but let me go into details. If you stole $100 from your friend, you upset him. He comes, he finds in his pants, wow, I had my wallet, where is it? He doesn't know it's you. One day, you became a tzaddik. Yom Kippur is coming. You come to him and say, Moshe, I'm very embarrassed. Please forgive me. Here is your $100. I am the one who stole it. Very sorry. Here. You gave him the money. You ask mechila. Machul. You clean in Shamayim. You return the money. But if you came to a person and kicked him and broke his leg, whatever, and even if he comes and later says, I'm very sorry, I don't know what happened to me, this, and he says, I'm forgiving you, there's no way to pay him for the pain. Yeah, even you pay money, you pay him for the days he lost work or for the doctor bills, fine, it's all fine. But the suffering, the actual pain that he had, there's no way to measure it that you know that I paid it back. So in a way, you stay guilty. If your kids stay single, it's one of the hardest suffering in life. Why? Because the guy wasn't a doctor. Or he didn't have a house in Great Neck. Or his parents came from a town you don't like. Or because someone told you a bad joke about this kind of people. All kinds of things that they ruined their shidduchim. And because of you, they didn't get married. And Hashem wanted them to get married, and they listened to you, because she's a little girl, she's afraid of her father. he's expected a very big punishment. What do you think? These parents will get away? So if you love your parents, and they tell you stupid reason why not to marry the person, and you know that it's nonsense according to the Torah, why you listen to them? If you love them, don't listen to them. If you hate them, listen to them. Because they're going to get punished a lot for that. Not only for one-time sin. It's a sin that continues all the time, forever, until Mashiach comes. The sin will never end. Why? Because it's another day of suffering, and another year, and then she gets old, and she doesn't have children, and she dies lonely, and so many good things were supposed to be from this wedding, and you have to pay for everything, for good and for bad. So that's why most of our parents are ignorant. They don't know what. They never learn Torah, especially the ones who came from the Arab countries. Most of them didn't know how to write and read. Whatever they hear on the street, they think it's true. They don't have Torah education. By the Ashkenazim, they were more educated in Torah in the last generation. Previous generation, most of the biggest rabbis in the world used to be Sfaradim. But then the last few generations was mainly Ashkenazim. They have more yeshivot, they established yeshivot, Europe, America. In the Arab countries, only there was X amount of Chachamim. The rest of the people didn't know how to read and write. You either was Rav Ovadia Yosef, or a farmer that comes and sells your vegetables and you don't know how to write your name. There was basically no in between. By the Ashkenazim, it wasn't like that. People were educated. The main education almost everyone got. Just that you know, today we send our daughters to yeshivot. 2 or 3 generations, girls stayed at home. No girls went to Bet Yaakov or to school or to yeshiva. You didn't have to pay tuition for your girls. Girls were home. That's why it says that when you marry a girl, you have to check her brothers. Why? Because girls didn't go to yeshiva. They didn't have rabbis and rabbits sent to teach them. So whatever they knew from the brothers who were learning at home, on a Shabbos table or learning in a house together. So if the brothers are bad, they taught her all the negative. Stay away from this girl. If the brothers are good, for sure she's good. She learned from good examples. She grew up with them, so she heard a lot of Torah. Today doesn't apply this rule so much. That's why I say it's enough that one of them is good, it's also good. But in the old generation, you have to check very carefully the brothers. Why? The way the brothers are, that's the way she is. But today everyone goes to school. Every girl goes to school. It's an obligation. It's against the law to keep them at home. But 2 or 3 generations, most of the women in the world didn't know how to read and write. They knew how to cook. They knew how to make challah. They knew how to milk the cows. They knew how to make olive oil. That's all they knew. That's all. That's how it was. The Ashkenazim, they push this idea that women has to learn just as important as a man, almost. Almost, not 100%, but almost. And then he went to the Sephardic world, that now every Sephardic girl also goes to yeshiva. But it wasn't like this. Most people don't know the history. Most women is in a house, in a kid, that's how it was. All over the Arab world it was like this. All over the Sephardic countries, all the Jews who lives in all over the Middle East, they're all like that. The Ashkenazim brought from Europe this wave of intelligence. And later, unfortunately, they started to go to colleges and learn all the nonsense of the Goyim, and 80% of them intermarried, and 100 years later came the Holocaust, unfortunately. If they stick only to Torah, no. Later on, that's what happened. In the Sephardic countries, people were primitive, but everyone was Shomer Shabbat almost. The 2 countries that Jews were not Shomer Shabbat, Greece, and a little bit in Morocco and Libya, over there, Tunisia, in that area, when the Italians and the French were in control, 60,000, 80,000 Jews in each country died. But in the Arabic, in Syria, not one Jew died. Why? Everyone was religious. Yemen, not one Jew died. Everyone was religious, always. Iraq, everyone was religious until 100 years ago. Afghanistan, Persia, everyone was religious. 3 generations ago, 4 generations. In Europe, 220 years ago, the movement started. One of the problems of these movements was that once they started to go to colleges, they disrespected the rabbis. That's why today you find, when you meet a secular Sephardi, I'm saying it in the name of a very big Ashkenazi rabbi in Israel, in Bnei Brak, he said it, and he's Ashkenazi, so I allow myself to say it in his name. So it says like this: when you meet a secular Sephardi, he gives you a lot of respect as a rabbi. When you meet a secular Ashkenazi, he looks at you like someone from the street. No respect almost whatsoever. Why in his mentality, rabbi is nothing. Professor in college is important. A doctor, it's important. A lawyer, it's important. Rabbi, what do I have to do with rabbis? Religion is primitive. That's the damage of the Haskalah movement who made in the countries of Ashkenaz, Germany, France, Russia, Poland, all these places. By the Sephardim, even the one who started to make violation and sins, when they saw rabbis, like they saw God. Even someone who started to smoke in Shabbat, my father was telling me 7 years ago, the first youth who started to smoke in Shabbat, if a rabbi would be in the area, they used to run a mile away in an orchard and smoke, and then clean their mouth, rinse their mouth, because God forbid the rabbi would see or smell them. There was a lot of respect. No respect to Hashem, but a lot of respect to the rabbis. This is the damage. It's called the Haskalah movement. Don't ask me to translate it in English, how do you call it, but Haskalah movement. Anyway, before our time is ending in 5 minutes, let's just say a few more things here. Once you went on a date with a girl and she liked you, or the other way around, and you decided not to marry her, or she decided not to marry you, the side who broke the shidduch has to apologize to the side who wanted to get married. To clean what we call kpeda. If a person is in his heart has something against you, God forbid, it can ruin your mazal, your future. So we have many stories. There's no time now to start going over them. Many stories of people who broke the heart of someone while dating, and then later stayed single. They didn't get married. Why? Because the other person in his heart was still hoping that one thing will change. You gotta do it. Well, not always you can do it. Sometimes a person is oversensitive. No matter what you do, in his heart he cannot control. But you have to do it in a very respectable way, and you have to make sure that when you give the reason why you don't date, never to ruin the confidence of the other person who disrespect him. For instance, you never tell them, I don't like your parents. Parents are arrogant. Your parents are not religious enough. Things like that. You don't tell them that, because they may hate you for the rest of your life for it. Or you don't tell them, I don't like this about you, or something about your body, or something about your look, or something like this, because then it will cause them to lose more confidence and damage their future shidduchim. Because once you take the confidence of a person down, you can take the best sport guy. He knows how to play the best. Basketball, soccer, tennis, whatever. You ruin his confidence, it's like a handicap. Someone who hardly knows how to play will play better than him. Confidence is 90% in success in sport and in everything else in life. Take the best player, the coach take away his confidence, he cannot hold the ball. His hands are shaking. He'll never hit, nothing. Give him back his confidence, he's the best player in the world. What happened? He forgot how to play? He can't control, he's frozen. If you come to a guy and tell him, I don't like the way you look, or I don't like this about you, or a girl, if you tell a girl you're overweight, you know what you did to her? 20 years she will never stop hating you. And if she's your wife, your marriage is over. And it's not a joke. You never make comments. You want to make comments, make it for third party that you trust to hint, also in a very sensitive way. I said it a few times in my lecture. One guy told me, I think my wife is cheating on me. And then after I started to talk to him, I realized that he has no proof, so it doesn't sound logical. And I told him, let me ask you a question. Did you tell your wife recently that she gained weight? So yeah, I tell her all the time, she did gain weight. Okay, now I understand, because he was claiming that his wife avoiding him. She doesn't want to be intimate with him. Of course, after he told her that she's not as pretty as she was a year ago, she lost her confidence. Nothing to do with cheating. Not everything is cheating, even though unfortunately it's common. Not everything right away is cheating. Sometimes you destroyed your own marriage with your stupidity. Then, so always to ask for forgiveness. Always to ask for forgiveness. But sometimes you got to be clever. I have a listener from Brooklyn. One time I went to give a lecture there. After the lecture he came and said, I'm listening to all your lectures. Oh, we met that night. So after we met, he said, where are you going now? I said, I'm going to Maimonides Hospital to visit someone who's very sick. Can I join you? We're already in Brooklyn. So I say, yeah, poor guy, join me. We went there, and just when we arrived, the woman started to die. We came to do her Yetziat Neshama. This is his first experience with me in person. We went to the hospital and we had to read Tehillim and her soul came out, we were there. But then we started to become more in touch. I invited him for Shabbat. So he was telling me that he dated a girl, everything was fine, but she had some kind of a defect, birth defect, something in one of the organs in her body, internal defect. Not from the outside. From the outside, everything was fine. But you know, this problem may cause death one day. It's not a healthy woman 100%. She went to an operation, they fixed it, but you know, it's not 100%. And he broke the shidduch 2 3 years ago, whatever it was. And now he went to a big rabbi, and that rabbi told him he should have married her. He made a mistake. Shouldn't have been a problem, everything would be fine. So he kills him now. He wanted to get back with her. So he called her to apologize for what he did. I realized I made a mistake. She told him, listen, it's too late, I'm dating someone. So he said to her, at least forgive me. Please forgive me for doing what I did. I mean, I made a mistake. I was younger, I didn't know a lot. So she said, I don't want to forgive you. You broke my heart, I suffer a lot because of you. I'm not forgiving you. And she hung up the phone. Now the girl lived not far from where I am. So when he came to my house for Shabbat, he said to me, after Shabbat, I'm going to go again to this girl and apologize again in person. I told him, don't go. He said, why? I'm already here. I don't have a chance to be in this area. I told him, if you go, she'll call the police. He looks at me like I'm crazy. Okay, so he left my house Motzei Shabbat. 2 weeks I haven't heard from him. After 2 weeks he called me up about a question. He said, by the way, you were right. I went to her house and she called 911. She called the police. And the police told me, if we're going to go near her one more time, we'll arrest you. And she's not forgiving him and he's still single. I hope he'll get married. When you break a shidur, you have to know how to do it. You're going to be very careful. People's feelings is not a joke. That's what we don't get sometimes. Yeah, you laugh at someone, you think it's a joke. One Rabbi said one word to a kid that I know. He was extra heavy, the boy. Likes to eat. He was 13, 12 years old. So one time he came to class 1 minute late. So he got angry that he's late. So in front of the whole class he told him, I'm surprised you still can enter through the door. And he became Chiloni, this boy. I was the best learner in the yeshiva. And from that moment on, he went down and down and down. He left yeshiva, he doesn't learn anymore, nothing. A few mitzvot he keep by a miracle. That Rabbi is a murderer, 100% murderer, but much bigger than a murderer. Because a murderer, he killed the body, maybe one day he regrets, whatever, he can send money to the family, make it up, somehow. What this Rabbi is going to do? Can he bring the boy back? He destroyed his soul. Now he's going to get married to another religious girl. They have not religious kids. They go to public school. They learn Shafan Kibel Nazelet, we came from the monkeys. One day one of them will be in an Israeli Knesset and make rules against the Torah and close yeshivot and send the police against religious people to break their bones like they do all the time in Israel. And this is this Rabbi's fault. You're going to have to pay for each incident in hell, even though he learned Torah. That's why you got to be very careful. Life and death is in your mouth. You have to be very careful. And you know what? The sad news is that I know that rabbi. He wasn't a bad person. A stupid word that came out. None of us is an angel. But his bad luck was, sometimes you make a bad comment and supposedly a damage wasn't done. Sometimes once the damage is done, what can you do? What can you do? One person came to Rav Steinman. He told him, when I was a teenager, I hurt a boy in front of the whole class. And now I became religious. I was always religious, but I became very religious now. It bothers me very much that I offended him in front of the whole class. So I called him up. I asked him before Yom Kippur to forgive me. So he told me, I will only forgive you if you gather the entire class from 10 years ago. Everyone is married now all over the world. You bring all of them to this school. Everyone would sit in a class like he was that day, and you apologize to me in front of all of them. So I heard that. I said, okay, let me get back to you. I started to inquire. One guy in America, one guy live in France, one guy in Switzerland, one guy in Yerushalayim, one guy in Tzfat. I figure that it will cost me $27,000 to get all of them to come. I have to pay their airfare, the gas, the days that they take off from school, from work. Everyone told me how much it's going to cost me to come. Altogether, $27,000 in Israel. Triple it. It's like 80,000 here, more or less. So he said, come to Rav Steinman. He said to him, am I obligated to give my whole saving, $27,000, to apologize to him in a class in front of everyone? No. So he looked at him, he said, what's the question? Absolutely, yeah. What's the question, Bichlal? I'm surprised you're asking. What is, looks to you a simple thing? A guy 10 years later still hates you for what you did to him in front of everyone, insulting him. Don't you know it's like a murder to insult a person in public? He didn't understand what's the question. Some people here say, no. What, $27,000 for apology? Come on. Yes, $27 million, he would answer him the same question. You have the money, you are obligated. Person has to give all his money not to make one sin from the Torah. All his money, $100 million cash, someone tell you eat pork. You have a way to bribe him with $100 million not to eat the pork, you must do it. If he tells you, I will prevent you from doing a mitzvah from the Torah, like putting tefillin, up to 20% of your wealth you have to sacrifice. More than that, you're not obligated. But not to make a sin, restriction, everything you have. Everything you have. Scary. If a person has to give $100 million not to make a little lashon hara, tell me, how is this Reuven? Tell the truth. You know the truth. If you don't tell us, we take away all your money. We know your password. I'll clean your account. And you have to say lashon hara that will damage this boy. If not, he takes $100 million from your account. You have to lose the money. You understand how critical it is to make a sin? And how many sins we make every day? Trillions would not be enough to erase it. When there's in a family 2 brothers, the older one does not get married, doesn't have good luck. Are we allowed to hold the second one or the second girl not to get married until the older one will get married, like Lavan did? No. He said with Rachel and Leah, the older didn't get married. How do you want to marry Rachel? First take Leah, then talk to me about Rachel. Is it allowed or no? No. Not allowed. Why? Because we make the younger one make sins. The older one is 24. The younger one is 22. The 22 makes sins because his older brother doesn't get married. Plus, every person with his own hashgacha of Hashem. What happened if this guy would never get married? So everyone else would stay single because of that? It's very foolish. I don't understand what's the dilemma here, Bichlal. Second one arrived to age that is, the oldest one will be jealous. It's his problem. Gotta take care of your own life. Your life comes before your brother's life. Your life comes before your parents' life. Your life comes even before everyone's life. Your children even. Your life comes first. Chayecha kodmim. That's the rule. Remember, you or anybody else in the world, you have to take care of your life before anyone else. You give the water that you have to your friend, he lives and you die, it's committing suicide. You have to drink. Unless, if it's Gdol Ador. Thousands of Jews depend on him, he's the only doctor in the country, and he saves life every day, that's a different story. But he's an ordinary person, and you an ordinary person, your life comes first. So the older brother should work on his character and personality, not to be jealous. The other way, he should encourage his younger brother to get married. Don't worry, it's all from Hashem. I will be very happy for you. And even if it's a little bit pinching his heart, pretend that he doesn't. Give him confidence to do it. Imcha lo belev shalem. Forgive him 100% for doing it. Thanks to that, he has a much bigger chance to get married from Hashem. And Hashem see, the older one said to the younger one, go marry, and he's happy for him, for real. Why would Hashem punish him or give him a prize? Some nationalities have a rule by them. We don't marry the second one before we marry the older one. But they're making a mistake against the halakha. I don't know where they got their tradition from. They should know that it's against the law. They should not do it. Now, after you're going to see this recording, I'm sure there's cases like this in your family, friends, that the parents do this or that. Don't ignore it. Tell them, go to this lecture and listen. This is why, it's not me, it's the Torah. I'm reading to you, see, I'm holding a book. You know, so you can see 100%, I read word by word from here. And it's all according to Shulchan Aruch and the poskim. We have to be very, very careful and to warn every person that we know not to go to rabbis who do names. You have to be very careful. If someone tells you, I know a rabbi, you tell him your name, tell him the girl's name, he calculate numeric value, all kinds of things like that. Yesh lizaher veleazhir. You have to be careful and to warn others not to go to those mekubalim, Kabbalists, that do matching with the names and math between the names and tell you the shidduch is good or not good. Many of them destroyed lives and they're very wicked. And not allowed to listen to them. I'm reading, I'm not saying anything from my own opinion. And I saw in the book of Rabbi Yosef that was published by one of his main students, Rabbi Naki, it says over there that someone came to Rav Ovadia to told him that a famous rabbi told him that the names do not match. So Rav Ovadia got very angry and he told him, don't listen to him, it's all nonsense. According to their calculation, Avraham and Sarah and Yaakov and Rachel is not a good match. Rav Ovadia knows what they do. According to them, Avraham shouldn't marry Sarah and Yaakov shouldn't marry Rachel. So it's all nonsense. Plus, even if it was true, the Stipler, the biggest rabbi perhaps in the whole world, the father of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, we had Ruach HaKodesh with no doubt. Everyone knows he had Ruach HaKodesh. He said 50 years ago that even people who knew how to do it are gone from the world. It's not legitimate anymore. So even if it was, that's why, first of all, many of those people do it for the money. And Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul say, every rabbi who asks for money, invest by me, give me, do for me. Not for the yeshiva, this is a different story. It's for Am Yisrael. The rabbi doesn't own the yeshiva. It's not his living room. But invest by me, invest with my student, we're opening a business, invest in real estate by me, we're buying diamond from Africa, come be our partner, stay away from him. Rav Ben Zion says, someone like this is not a rabbi, if his head is in the money. If his head is in the Torah, he gives all his time for the Torah, for saving souls, yeah, fine, no problem. And he doesn't make preconditions. If you give me this and this and that, we pray for you. If you give me $10,000, the boy will be healthy. If you do all this, these are all crooks, with no exception, I repeat, no exception, no matter how long is his beard and how famous he is in the world, and even if he has 1,000 students in his yeshiva. No exception whatsoever. Everyone who asks for money for his services from you, do me this, do me that, do that. Right away, Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, the biggest rabbi in the world and the biggest Kabbalist, the biggest, he said it, and we have no permission to even think to contradict what he said, because he knew everything, all the Kabbalah, the names, everything. And he said, Rav shemitasek beksafim hu lo Rav, stay away from him. And all these people who do these names, this, as usual, stay away from them. If they tell you the name, first of all, it's very foolish to go to ask. Now you create yourself a conflict. You understand? I know a few people who some rabbis told them to change their name, and they didn't change their name, they have the best marriages. And I know some people who, because they changed their name, all the problems begin. So you shouldn't drive yourself crazy. Some people drive people crazy, like Ayin Hara. Make the chuppah in the morning, in the evening it's going to be all fake, we're afraid of Ayin Hara. Well, enough with all this nonsense. What is this nonsense? For 2,000 years, everyone married at night in front of everyone. All of a sudden now, in the last 50 years, Ayin Hara. No, we don't want. They don't worry that they make a $500,000 wedding and they throw 500 tons of food and steaks and salmon fish to the garbage. They're not afraid of Ayin Hara. But if the Khatan will put the ring that costs $5 on the finger of the girl at 8 o'clock at night, it's Ayin Hara. So let's do it at 5 in the afternoon. What is this? Such stupidity. And to bother the guests, to come and to go home again and to come back again at night. What for? What for? $500,000 wedding is not afraid of Ayin Hara. Tomorrow they move into a mansion, $80,000 car, he buys children. Now he's not worried about Ayin Hara. He's afraid. Maybe in a chuppah, somebody jealous was there, is going to make ayin hara. If you're going to go by ayin hara, you become crazy. Crazy. Better not to deal with that so much. You pray in the morning, in the Birkot HaShachar, Atzileni ayin hara. You have focus. Once a day, 10 seconds. Save me from A, save me from B. One of the list is, save me from evil eye. Ayin hara. That's it. Enough. You don't need string. You don't need chains. You don't need to put salt under your yarmulke. You don't need to put mint under your pillow. You don't have to go to this guy with the lead. It goes like this. Alibaba, hocus pocus. Wow, I see eyes, bones, arrows in your eyes. You know how many people love... When I was a fool, someone told me, come, there's someone who does it. I told him, what does it mean? He said, well, it's according to the Chidah, it's from the Kabbalah. And it is. There is a source to it. All my problems in life started the next day. Up to then, everything was working perfect. Financially, I'm talking. After that day, one problem after the other. Why? Hashem said, oh, you believe in this? You don't believe in me? You don't believe in emunah, in the sins, in honesty, in the Torah? It's not important. Hocus pocus, put some lead on a fire, put your head down, psh, Alibaba, where it came from. That's his life. Ayin hara, ayin hara. Someone comes to his house, right away the whole container of salt. You know the salt? All over the stairs. Come, go break an egg. Someone say, bring an egg, write all the names of our enemies, go to the intersection and blow it. That's Judaism. It's a big embarrassment. For the nation of God to deal with this nonsense, it became an industry. People make millions. It's not a coincidence why some of these babot in Israel, they just published how much money they have in their bank accounts. The minimum was $60 million in Israel. One who died had $100 million. Another one, almost $100 million. 3 cousins, between them, like $400 million. And the students in the yeshivas, half of them are dying for a piece of bread for Shabbat. They have to stand online for Chasdei Naomi. Maybe they give them some meal or chicken for Shabbos. You understand? $100 million in a bank account. People are struggling. People cannot finish the month. And one day, someone somehow digged in their bank account and found out they were not ready that it will be published. When you ask them how is business, very bad. It's very slow, the donations. 100 million, very slow. He makes an interest, $50,000 a day on the money. How is business run? Very slow, the donations is very slow. That's going on out there in the world. And then nobody, one time when Madoff took all the money, there was one yeshiva, I don't know if you can call it yeshiva, but there's a yeshiva, they published that they lost $106 million by Madoff. So one person that was standing next to me told me it's not even 1% of how much they have in their savings, don't worry. They lost 106 million, didn't tickle them. Why? It's a secular yeshiva. It wasn't really yeshiva. They learn Torah, but the main thing over there, it's secular. But the real yeshivot, like our yeshiva in Monsi, no money for the electric. No money for sugar. There are days, 4 days, no sugar. There are days like now, you're dripping sweat. There's no $10 a day to pay for the air condition. Yes, sometimes you beg the rabbi, turn the air condition on. You look at my electric bill. They disconnect the electric tomorrow, and I don't know where I'm going to get. I owe for 3 months. Why? Place of real Torah, there is a lot of struggle. Place that the Torah doesn't disturb the Satan, he sends you millions. Make beautiful, fancy marbles, chandeliers. Why does he care, the Satan? He's not afraid of this place. Place when people make happiness to Hashem, the Satan fight 100%. One of the ways, it's poverty. Sometimes, I tell you a story and we'll finish with that. There's one rabbi, kosher rabbi, I'm not saying names, so you don't know who I am. There's thousands, you don't even know him. It's not even in the United States. So, he's an expert in health. Health, spiritual health, like all kinds of spices, not conventional medicine, So, he's a kosher man. He could be maybe righteous, I don't know, but he's 100% legitimate. and he knows Torah, everything is fine. But his specialty, he published CDs to tell people how to eat correctly. Cholesterol, blood pressure, things like this. So the person who make my CDs told me, you know this man, he gave me a name of a wealthy guy from America. So I never heard of him. He said, he just gave me an order $100,000 for that rabbi. And you want to see what the CD he's going to spend $100,000 on? 100,000 copies, CD that teach what to eat together, what not to eat together. The internet is full of it. Everywhere you go, they give you advice, health, this. Everywhere you go, there is. So he said, I was begging him to give 10,000 out of it to your Torah and Science DVD. I told him, I'm making CDs for many years here. No CD ever made more people religious in a history than this CD, guarantee. I said to him, at least invest in making Baalei Tshuva. No matter what he did, send him copies, this, that, nothing. He spent $100,000 on a CD who does not make people make even one mitzvah in the entire year. $100,000, check. And all the CDs, so people would not eat this, will maybe use honey instead of sugar, white sugar, brown sugar, you know, all this nonsense. Everyone knows about it. You go to the internet, I'll print you hundreds of pages, all these tivonim. You have it, it's all over. It's very popular now. Why the world needed 100,000 of CDs to throw them everywhere for free? Hashem knows why. The Satan say to him, be a tzaddik, donate for CDs. Finally, when he's generous, he wants to give $100,000. You think he's going to let him do a CD that will make 20,000 Jews religious? He's going to send him to CDs that he doesn't care. Or a CD that will take you how important it is on Rosh Hashanah to go to Russia to pray by the grave of the righteous rabbi there. The whole CD, $1 it costs, 100,000 CDs. You want to Rosh Hashanah to daven, you have to go to Russia, it's Bet HaMikdash over there, it's Kodesh HaKodashim, you know, without this, how can you pass the Yom Adin, leave your wife home, and all these things that happens today in the world. $100,000, and plus, if you need sponsorship on the airline tickets, please call. You think it's a joke? $1,500 a person is sponsored to go there. Why? Why the Satan is helping him to be so generous? Well, Satan cares. As far as he's concerned, send all the Jews to Russia. Why? Very good for him that all the Jews will be in such a filthy land. They were in Yerushalayim, now they're in Russia. It's better for the Satan. They live across the street from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Akiva. Now they went to a rabbi who lived 200 years ago, with all due respect. No one can claim that he's even near Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai or the names who mentioned in the Gemara. Every fool knows it. The Satan is a genius. We're going to spend $30 or $40 million every year on airline tickets to go to a grave of a righteous rabbi, leave the Holy Land, leave the wives alone, leave your children without a father in the judgment day, go to a place when the prostitute offer you to come with them to the house for $7 and standing begging on the street, and many people already went there. He will send you over there, and you will spend hundreds of millions to perhaps maybe to make few mitzvot, maybe if there is mitzvah. We can argue about it. But you tell the Satan to give $1,000 for life-saving things, you see how difficult it becomes. Tell someone, we make a Hanukkah party, we need $15,000 for Chinese food. People would fight who would give. Yeah. Then you come and say, we have to pay money for the guys to come learn Torah all month. No, Rabbi, business is very bad. So I started with a joke. I will finish with a joke. One guy came to Rav Steinman, and he said to him, Rabbi, the financial situation in America is very bad. Give us a blessing, a group of rich people, Americans. Give us a blessing that business will pick up, that we can sponsor the Bnei Torah, the learners of the Torah in the yeshivot in Israel. So the Rabbi, Rav Steinman, very sharp genius, so he told him, it looks to me like a very foolish request. Why should I ask Hashem to give money to the wealthy people in America to depend on them that they'll send the money to the learners of the Torah? If I already come to Hashem and bother him for money, I'll ask him directly to give the money to the righteous people who learn Torah. Give Moshe, then he should give Yitzchak. Give Yitzchak. So the wealthy guy got read a little bit. He said, Rabbi, but what about our merit? It gives us merit that we sponsor Torah. For that I'm asking. So Rav Steinman answered him, something inside my heart tells me that you're more interested in the 90% change that you will have left in your hand than the 10% you will have to give to the yeshivot. Something inside of me say to me that, yeah, you have to give minimum 10%, you have to give. Afraid of Hashem, you don't want to mess with him. Take away everything from you in the end. You don't give 10%, Hashem take 90% from you. It's just a matter of time, you should know it. From your net profit. 5, 10 years, boom, everything is gone. Don't be surprised. One big investment, it's all got wiped out. Hashem left you 10%, took 90%. But you give 10%, Hashem will multiply and multiply. One guy told me, hardly religious. Not one of my fanatic listeners that already keep mitzvot. One hardly religious, but believe in giving tzedakah. Every month he gives X amount of money for CDs. So he told me, I'm happy to give. The more I give, the more I make. With no games. No, not trying to pretend business is bad, business is... The more I give, the more I make, he said. Guarantee. I test myself. When I give X amount, I make X amount. I give double, I make double. Why Hashem does it to him? Because he's innocent. He believes in it. Hashem says, oh, you trust me? I'm telling you, hardly religious. I doubt it if he keeps Shabbos 100% even. I'm embarrassed to ask him to go to details, to embarrass him, because always he's with people. But he said, the more I give, the more I make in his business. And the economy is very bad. Everybody has struggled. So the more I give, the more he gives. Rav Steinman said to all the wealthy people, anyone here, in front of everyone, can raise his hand and promise me, look in my eyes, that he gives 10% from his net income. The multi-millionaires, all the American Jews who came to be next to the biggest tzaddik perhaps in the world, not one of them raised his hand. After a few minutes, one guy raised his hand and said, I think I'm giving at least 10%. Who knows how many people were there? 50, 100, 5, multi-billionaires. Not only one of them raised his hand and said, I'm giving 10%, which means 99% of them don't give. They give 1%, 2%. And everyone is impressed. You heard, he gave $2 million this year. But he made $500 million this year. He gave $2 million, very nice. The guy who works by the grocery, he makes $2,000 a month, he gives $200. He gave $2 million. Who's better, $2 million or 200? 200 is better, because he gave 10%. Go by percentage. So we are getting impressed by things that are not deserved to be impressed from, and things that looks very bad, we don't pay attention. But in the eyes of Hashem, this guy is a greater hero. And believe me, I have people sometimes, believe me, I learn a lot from my listeners and from people who write to me email, and sometimes even from Goyim. Sometimes I see people, believe me, from the email you understand that they hardly have what to eat. And they say, I have to force myself to give a monthly donation for people to become religious because I know it makes Hashem happy. So I say to him, you dismiss, you don't have to give. You don't have to give. One day you have money, you give for the years you didn't give. Right now you don't have to give. It's the situation, it seems from the story that it's an emergency. So he say, no, I have to, I'm convincing him not to give, and he gives. And he gives even more than what he wanted. And I'm telling you, this is heroes, because where the situation is, you know they don't have the money for the next week to survive. And the people who are flooded, they hardly give anything. And now it reminded me, I want to tell you very good news, for those of you who listened to the lectures for the last 2 years. If you remember, about a year ago, I told you that I have a guy from California, that one day he asked me if he can give all his savings to make CDs. So I thought he's a very rich guy. I asked him, who are you? I found out he's a student from medical school. He's going to be one day a doctor, but right now he's a student. He has student loans, he's a student. I thought maybe he's the son of a millionaire, that he wants to give all his saving. How much he has? A little investment, 20, 30, 40,000, whatever it was. Now we're not talking huge amount of money here. But everything he has, he wants to stay with nothing, to give everything to make CDs, to make Jews religious. I told him, no, it's not good. You have to keep yourself some money. You need for yourself also. You give 10% from your income, that's all. So I told him, I asked him, are you very wealthy? He said, no, I'm a student. Your father is very wealthy? No. How much you have? I think it was $30,000 or $40,000. I don't remember. Watched the lecture a year ago. I said the amount. So why do you want to give everything? He said, I feel that it's an emergency right now. We have to do as much as we can, and that's going to be my contribution for the Jewish nation. So I told him, no, you're not allowed to give. That was the end of it. When I said that in a lecture, a few days later, I got a phone call from a woman in New York. No, in New York, or I don't remember where she's from. A woman on the phone. She said to me, I heard your lecture now about this guy. I have a daughter exactly like this. She has, whatever she has, right away she gives to others. If she have now this money, she would be exactly the same like him. Say, take everything, save souls. Maybe we should match between them, she said to me. Listen good. I said to her, okay, I'll try. I got some information about her daughter. Send him an email. Would you be interested? Say, yeah, why not? If it comes from you, I'll try. I put a match between them. They weren't touched, but they're far away. He's learning in one state, she learns in a different state. So they, talk a little bit on the phone, computer, whatever. Then they met in California. They started to move to the next level. When I was in LA, I think 2 months ago, I met them. So things got serious. And Baruch Hashem, a week or 2 ago, they got engaged. Wow. What a great Hashem we have. Wow. A guy wanted to give all his money. Hashem said, I'll get, and what a girl. Every one of you should have a girl. Half of her, you'll be happy. And a guy. Girl and a guy, 2 angels. 2 angels. You see, you never lose for doing for others. I keep explaining it to people. You think you're doing favors to anyone? You only help you and your children. But people don't get together. They don't get it. They want to grab. In the end, they're left with nothing. Give. Hashem will give you 100 times more, one way or the other. You never lose from doing what Hashem say. Never. Ever in history, nobody ever lost from doing what Hashem asked to do. The Goyim gets it, and we won't get it. You know how many Goyim got it? If you don't believe me, challenge me. Come, I'll bring my computer, I'll open you, and I show you all the emails I get from Goyim every day. Every day. And Goyim understand they have to give money for Jews to become religious. And the Jews, $18 a month, Rabbi. That's what we can afford right now. $2 million he made. Rabbi, we have other causes. What's your other causes? $50 here, $30, $26, $101, $700 he give, made $2 million there, and he thinks he fools the world. Oh, Rabbi, look, 15 receipts. How much? $700. $2 million he made. The guy working in a grocery store already gave more than him. Who do you lie to? Who do you lie to? What happened in the end? Comes the IRS, takes everything. Lawyers, this, that, investigation, $300,000 for the lawyer, and goes to jail in the end. That's what happened. Chazal say, you want to be protected from the IRS, from the Malchut, from taxes? Make sure to give a lot of tzedakah, minimum 10% from your net income. You have a guarantee not to ever get caught if you ever did something not right. Guarantee. How many people now that hide millions from the government every year would take this deal? If I come and say to them, listen, I work in the IRS, I'm the chief. Guarantee. You give 10% from your income. You still 30%, put 10% in a fund, guarantee nobody will ever bother you. Your name is out of the system. How many people would stand online? Take 15, just dismiss me. They believe me, but they don't believe Hashem. They believe me, oh, he's going to take care of us, this lawyer or the officer. But when Hashem say, maybe yes, maybe not. The Rabbi promised. The Rabbi said. But Hashem said, we have to argue. We have to see. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.